We got nowhere to be, just a slow dance with the summer heat. The world outside can't wait a few, 'cause right now we got nothing else to do. The sun is peeking through the cotton white blinds, your hands still tangled up in mine. Feet on the wall, your head on me, floating easy. We got nowhere to be, got nowhere to be. Your hair's a mess, but you don't.
Welcome back to another writing vlog where we are going to attempt to resuscitate my novel. If you're new here, my name is Brielle and I'm currently working on a dystopian fantasy duology. The first book is titled Unraveling, and I recently blew up my plot. And since that big blow up, I have been documenting the aftermath, what I'm doing to basically try to fix this book. If you saw my last writing vlog, I documented some of my plotting process and progress, and we're going to continue on that train today. Where I left off last night after a pretty extensive writing evening was that I am in the midst of solidifying a consolidated outline of book one. We're talking color coded by POV. We're talking with the Save the Cat beats worked in there. I'm just around at the midpoint section of working on that consolidated outline. And so we're going to start off with that today. I also do really want to work on a consolidated outline for book two. So that's also on the agenda to potentially start and get as far as we can with that outline. If you don't know what I mean by consolidated outline, I explained this a little bit more in the last vlog, but essentially I started off with creating a very extended outline where I was including a lot of details about how scenes would play out, etc., and realized that while that's going to be extremely helpful when I start drafting this book, I needed to zoom out even further. So that's why I've been working on a chapter by chapter outline that's just a couple lines per chapter so that I can look at things more high level, and I have found that to be really valuable so far. I feel like it's made me have realizations about scenes that are unnecessary and just like things that don't make sense from an overall flow perspective. So I'm really glad that I'm taking the time to do this consolidated, super zoomed out outline. But that's kind of where we're at. I actually have a little writing session planned with my friend Alyssa in the Books on AuthorTube in like literally 1 minute. So we're going to log on and do some scripts with her. And yeah, this vlog is basically just going to be continuing to document the progress that I'm making in terms of helping my book out, saving my book, if you will. These parts of the process have been so much more fun than I was expecting. I feel like I went on a pipeline in the last few weeks from overwhelmed to excited. It really has felt like a gradual transition, and my overall feelings around this overhaul have just improved tenfold. Even though I knew from the jump that it would be good and beneficial, I feel like I'm actually starting to really feel an excitement and a giddiness to execute, and that's really exciting. So we're gonna log on and do some writing with Alyssa.
Up and leave. Take a lot of courage just to live out your dreams. Bigger picture I can see if I just close my eyes. Have the foresight to believe. Time don't move backwards, it speeds me to the future fearlessly.
Hey!
Charging forward.
There she is. Wow.
In my mouth, though I may not know how. I know I was born to sing. Travel the world, raise baby girls. Bury my best friend. I'm manifesting, but not concerned.
Hi. Okay, we're going to quickly recap how the writing went today. It is now Saturday night. We ended up writing for, I think, 2 hours and 15 minutes, and we did finish the book one consolidated outline, which is very exciting. We have 53 very organized, cohesive chapters outlined, and I feel really great about it. As I went through the second half of the book again, working on this consolidated outline, I had more realizations, chapters that I could combine, scenes that I could cut, just ways to make the plot as streamlined and effective as possible. I didn't even quite realize just how much the main sources of conflict were really shifting with all of these rewrites until I was looking at it from this perspective, and I realized just how much stronger our conflict is is now, and I'm feeling really excited about that. I'm not sure the next time you'll hear from me. I think this vlog is going to be a little more pieced together, like sporadic writing updates as I continue to work on the book this week. So not sure the next time you'll hear from me, but that's the current update. Book 1, very solid, feeling really good about where it's at plotting wise. I think from here on out, I'm just going to feel out the split between me working on the book 2 outline and drafting in book 1. I'm in a very eager place with writing right now. It's like all that I want to work on, but I also want to be cognizant of having this momentum be sustainable and continue to work on the book in this aggressive fashion, which also means pacing myself a tiny bit. So I'm gonna enjoy my night tonight. I'm gonna not do any work. I haven't given myself like a proper evening off in a while, and so my boyfriend made some homemade pizza, so we're gonna go eat that, which I'm really excited about. And I think we might watch like Star Wars or something. Okay, bye.
Ceiling fan blowing cold breeze on your body. I can't tell you really what it is, but you got it. Wake up in the morning, you got dresses in your closet, but you got them tight, you in love with being honest. You a move body giving singer views. I'm just saying I'm amused, but you ain't even flexing. And you cool, tatted up, cover wounds, different vibe, you know improved, but you ain't even flexing. And you ain't gotta try.
Oh hey, gonna tilt you down. You can see my Risk board. Me, my boyfriend, and my boyfriend's dad were playing Risk the past few days. We still haven't finished, but I am still in the running. I feel like I've kind of been killing it with the matcha making lately. I feel like I finally nailed the proportions and it no longer is just like milk, you know? Like I feel like it actually tastes like matcha. A result though is that I feel like the caffeine is more prevalent, and so I've been feeling it a little bit more. Just like a little bit more anxiety from the caffeine, which is interesting. I never have felt that way with matcha before. But I'm not gonna lie, this is my third attempt at filming this update. The first attempt I just didn't like. That's been kind of happening recently. I think it's just because I need to like brush off the cobwebs of like my filming self every time I film. And so the first take of me filming clips lately has just not been coming out the way I wanted to. Second time I attempted to film this, I wasn't recording audio. So this is take number 3 and it's gonna work out this time. I'm manifesting that. It's been like a week since we've last chatted updates and a lot has happened. I believe in the last clip of this vlog, I was working on finishing out the consolidated outline for book 1. I don't know if I told you this, but I have finished that outline. So book 1 has been thoroughly outlined in a chapter by chapter consolidated format. And this outline, guys, is my pride and joy. I've been showing it off to everyone. I'm so obsessed with how organized and consolidated and streamlined it is. And I think that this very concise chapter by chapter outline format is going to be a mainstay of my writing process going into future projects. I can't imagine not doing it in the future. Since then, I worked a little bit on the book 2 outline. The book 2 outline definitely isn't 1000% there yet, but I was able to get what I would consider to be like a pretty good sketch done of book 2, in the sense that like, yes, there's definitely still pieces missing and it definitely doesn't have every single chapter that the book is going to have. I mean, this book is going to be over 100,000 words. There's going to be a lot going on, but I feel like I have a clear sense of direction on what we're going to be exploring in book 2, on the plot progression that I'm going to be aiming for with the second book. And wow, I can just feel in even the beginnings of my outline for book 2, the sort of results of all that I've learned about story structure, about storytelling, about stakes and the importance of stakes. I can feel all of that so vividly in how I'm plotting this book from the get-go. And this is the first book that I'm really like plotting pretty much ahead of time without having written any sort of completed first draft. And wow, does it feel good. Like I'm so excited to take all of the knowledge that I've acquired just about story into future projects and to see how that manifests in how I execute and approach future projects. It's a really exciting prospect. Sorry, I had to move the camera to get a little more comfortable. I'm feeling a lot better about the cause and effect that's present in book 2. I think it was Kelly that said in a vlog that she like looks at chapters, like chapter progression as like a and so thing, like this happens and so this happens and so this happens. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it, Kelly. That's what I think it was. But basically the idea was everything should feel like it's being caused by the chapter before it, obviously. And approaching a plotting process with that kind of causality and that domino effect in mind was just so drastically different from how I came up with the ideas behind book 1 and the first attempt at book 2. And it just feels like it makes all the difference. And I'm really excited about that. That's kind kind of what's going on with book 2. Once I felt pretty solid that I had a clear sketch of what book 2 was going to be, I kind of hit a point where things got a little bit fuzzier, and not in the sense that there was like a plot hole or something that I was confused about, but more so just like, okay, I don't exactly know what the intricacies of this second half are going to look like. I know where we need to end up. I know the foundations, but there's like specifics that I just don't quite have yet. And I felt like I had enough information to confidently start working on book 1 again, knowing that I wasn't shooting myself in the foot for book 2, because I know enough now and I have enough clarity and enough specifics to know that the plots work together. Like I feel pretty strongly that the plots work together, at least on a large scale. Might there still be small things? Sure, but I think I can confidently move forward with my new direction for book 1, knowing that it's not putting me in any corners for book 2, which was really what I wanted to make sure before I started actively working on book 1 again. So worked on book 2 a little bit from a plotting perspective. Now we're fully back into book 1, and I've been working on the redraft, rework, whatever you want to call it, large scale developmental changes to book 1 ever since. I'm now on chapter 9, so things have been going well. I've drafted 2 fresh chapters in Varen's point of view. I've been revising and reworking some of Rhea's opening chapters. I would say the setup portion is actually the portion that's changing the least drastically with this latest iteration, just because I've already done multiple passes of Act 1 at this point in draft 3, so I've already integrated certain things. So it's the part that's the least grueling for this pass. The biggest thing being adding in Varen's POV chapters, which we didn't have before. His POV is totally new as part of my changes. So it's been very interesting trying to like get in his head. I feel like I know Varen very well, but being in his brain is still a little bit new for me. I'm not sure if I'm 100% there with his voice yet, but I feel like character voice is one of those things that you just kind of need to find. And I know him. I feel strongly that I know him and I know about him. I think I just need to give it time for me to really sink into that voice. Then again, maybe I'm just like not giving myself enough credit and it's already kind of, starting to get there. I can't really tell at the moment. I think when I go back and reread, I'll be able to tell maybe a little bit more, but I am having a lot of fun writing his scenes and getting to see his life. I feel like that was always something that was like a little mysterious to me, was his life. And so getting to see it firsthand, I think is going to ultimately serve the story a lot. And I'm excited about the dual POV. The chapter that I'm about to draft from his POV is chapter 9, and it's going to be him faking his own death. So he's going to go into this like secret prison that his father has, grab a pretty bad criminal, kill him, throw him in a lake, and then basically use his body to stage his death, which all of this is new developments. So yeah, that's what's happening with the drafting process. Let's heart to heart a little about how I'm feeling about everything, because I feel like you guys have been seeing me go through thralls with this book lately, and you've just been really along for the mental part of the writing process, so I want to give a little bit of an update on that. In a very interesting turn of events, I have become a solo writing girly. There was a minute there where all I wanted to do was write with people. I was such a social writer. I've always loved writing in cafes, but I'm talking about like writing sessions with friends being my bread and butter, and how I was doing a lot of my writing on FaceTime with friends, with my writing group friends. In an unexpected turn of events, I've become a solo writer. I've been loving just curling up in the corner of my couch completely alone and just spending time, me and the book, just the two of us. And I think the reason that this is, honestly, is because I've just been really craving feeling safe and feeling 100% comfortable to write without the feeling of being perceived or like someone watching over my shoulder. And it's not to say that people were watching over my shoulder when I was writing with other people, but I think just the feeling of being alone in a room, there's something magical to it. And specifically, I've been writing a lot at night where I can just truly feel like the world is somewhere else. I feel like it's almost like recreating how writing used to feel to me as like a teenager in my bedroom, where it was just like the world was somewhere else and it was just me, and it was just me and the page. And that like sacred creative space is something that I've come to value so much, and that's really been, I feel like, transforming my relationship with my writing. I feel like I overthink less. I feel like I can get into flow state in a way that I can't in any other circumstance. And the world just ceases to exist. And that's magical, you know? I'm in a mindset right now with my writing of just like, F it, but not in a way of like, screw the quality, you know, but more so in a way of like, I'm just going to go for it. Like, I've spent all this time and done all this work to fix this plot. I feel incredibly solid about what I have outlined. And now I just need to let myself go there. I need to let myself get into the story and execute this and learn to trust myself again and learn to feel confident in my writing again, because so much of that was stripped away from me during the thralls of the last couple months. I don't know. I just feel like now is the time for me to lock in and make it happen. And I feel the most clear and strong about the direction of the project that I ever have. It almost feels like I'm ready to like slide. I'm ready to like slide through the rest of this process and like full send. I feel like with every project I've ever done, whether this was literally like a work project, a school essay, a graphic design project, even my client work projects, there's a part of the process that's a lot more like meandering. You're testing things out. You haven't quite figured out what you're going to do yet. It's not really rolling, you know, you're still just kind of like getting your bearings. Maybe you're working on it a couple hours here, a couple hours there. And then there hits a point where you're like, oh, this is the lock in, you know? And this would happen with everything. And normally it would be a lock in of like, I don't know, 6 hours at once, you know? And then the project would be done. And obviously you can't do that with a novel. Like, you can't finish a novel in one day like that. But I think in a way that is still true, where you hit a certain point with a project where it's like, oh, it's literally just like, oh, okay. And then you execute, you know, and then you slide. And it's just a flow state, really, is what I'm kind of referring to here. And I think I'm feeling like I'm on the verge of that. And I want to just like let myself say, oh, okay, let's go. You know, there's a point where you just got to like commit and you got to say, we're going to shut up and we're going to do the thing. We're going to lock the little inner critic in a box and we're going to say, nope, this is what we're doing. We're committing to this. Let's go. And I think that that's what's happening now. And I know that I do my best work when I'm able to flow state, to tune everything out, to be in it. And that's what I'm trying to create for myself at the moment, because I want this to be the last time that I rewrite this book. You know, obviously I'm still going to line edit. I'm still going to copy edit. I'm still going to do scene level developmental changes as a result of beta reader feedback. But I want this to be the last time that I'm rewriting so much of this book. And so I want it to come out good this time. You know, I want to give it my best shot. And I think part of that is going to be kind of locking in a sense, and letting myself fully get into flow state in a way that I haven't really throughout the process of this book. I think one of the hardest things for me with writing a book is that it is such a long scale project. And I know, you know, we all know this, right? But with everything, I love when I can just sit down and knock it out in like one sitting. And obviously you can't do that with a book. And I struggle with that a little. But I think that you can create sort of like a knockoff version of that for yourself with writing. And I think that that's going to come from me locking myself, you know, kind of alone in my apartment. Late night, very sacred writing sessions that I'm kind of like incorporating into my life now. I'm still writing every day, which has been huge for keeping me feeling very in the project. And I'm 20 days into that writing streak now. I'm going to make an entire vlog talking about my reflections from this like writing streak challenge I've been doing. But that's been a huge part of it too, is writing every day. And I want to just like lock the frick in. Another development, an unexpected development, one might say. I've ditched Scrivener. I know, we're all shocked to hear this. I've ditched Scrivener. This is something I want to chat about. I've learned throughout my writing journey that there is something to switching up formats. There is something to it. It does something. I've done this in a million different ways. I've done printed out copies of my drafts. I've done PDF versions that I've reviewed. I've made myself notes of changes on printed out paper. I've done notes by hand. I've done this sort of song and dance before. It does something. And when I was getting back into draft 3 about a week ago, I was noticing that I was moving incredibly slow, and it was a bit painstaking. And I think part of that is just because I'm trying to write at a draft 3 standard and not like a super messy version of the book. So of course it's going to be a bit slower, but it was substantially slower than my regular pace. And even though pace and word count doesn't really matter, it did kind of make me think like, is there something that I could do to just allow myself to go there more with the book and just like, I don't know, maybe I'm a little blocked in some way. And so what I ended up doing was I went back to the tactic that saved my butt when I needed to rework chapter 1 of this book, and that was taking the book into Google Docs. I wrote a new chapter 1 in Google Docs after agonizing and being unable to write it in Scrivener for like hours, and it just came out of me in Google Docs. I was like, okay, like maybe a different software could do something here. So I tried Vellum, I tried Word, and then I went to the tried and true Google Docs that worked for me the first time, and something just clicked. I was overthinking less. I felt like words could just flow out of me easier, and it just worked. I don't even know how to explain it. I feel like with Scrivener, I like Scrivener. I don't think Scrivener will ever completely leave my process. I shouldn't say ever, but I don't think Scrivener is leaving my process anytime soon. I think Scrivener is the cream of the crop in terms of like organization. Like it really works for me with characters, with world building, being able to organize my notes, documents. Love Scrivener for that. But there was always something about drafting or revising in Scrivener that was just like the tiniest bit uncomfortable to me. And the best way I can explain this or like attempt to give an analogy is it's like when you're wearing clothes throughout the day that you're just like not quite comfortable in. Like for example, I don't really love wearing short sleeves at the moment. I don't know. I prefer like a hoodie. That's like my comfort outfit, right? So when I'm like in short sleeves throughout the day, I'm always kind of itching, wanting to put on a hoodie, you know? And then when you finally get comfortable at the end of the day, it's like an exhale. It's like, okay, I can fully relax. And I almost felt like when I was like working in Scrivener, there was that tiny bit of uncomfortableness that I kept trying to remedy by like switching up the layout and like trying the dual pane mode and trying like with the sidebar, without the sidebar, whatever. Ultimately, I think my brain just didn't quite click with it, and Google Docs seems to be clicking with me more. I think part of the reason why I was struggling a little bit with Scrivener, besides just the fact that I don't think the software 100% clicked with my brain, is also because Scrivener has so much baggage with this project. Scrivener has seen so many variations, so many drafts, not just draft 1 and draft 2, but like draft 2.5, draft 1.5, draft 2.75, because in between drafts, there's been all these like tiny little iterations of certain chapters or scenes. And so I think like every time I would open Scrivener, I would feel kind of the weight of all the different versions of this project. I would feel the weight of the draft 1 version that I'm just like not very proud of, you know? I'm proud of myself for finishing that draft, but obviously I've improved since then. And it just kind of felt like it had so much baggage. Like I've been working on this project for a year and a half, and I know people have spent much longer working on a singular project. So I'm not trying to say that that's a super long time, but I do feel like, you know, the person I was a year and a half ago when I first started working with this concept versus the person I am now, like we're different, you know? And I just felt like I needed a bit of a clean slate feeling, and switching softwares did that for me. So if you're also craving that feeling, consider a little switch up of software. I'm still going to be referring to Scrivener for all my notes and my outlines and stuff, but drafting in Google Docs has just freed me in a way. And I don't know, it just feels like less pressure. It feels like I can just create more openly. It's been nice. I have a writing live stream with Harriet in literally 15 minutes. So I need to go get ready for that. And I think that's going to be the last thing that you see in this vlog, because I would ideally like to get it up in the next couple days. June is the month of twice a week uploads, and so I'm trying to stick with that. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, comment down below a little leaf or like growth related emoji, some sort of plant. Oh, also, I posted recently on my Instagram story asking if you guys wanted to see a pep talk for writers in the age of AI video, and I've received the most DMs that I've ever gotten in response to that post. So I think that might be my next video, because it seems like this is something that people really want to discuss or just like to see a video on. So stay tuned for that. That might be coming up soon. Also, I feel like my foundation looks like kind of crazy good today. I checked to see if I had my smoothing filter on because it almost looked to me like I did, but I don't. I just think my makeup is smooth today. Okay. Are you ready? How's everyone doing? We have my wonderful friend Harriet with us today. Hi. In terms of what I'm working on, I'm gonna be drafting the new chapter 9, which is in Varent's POV. It's a fun little scene where he's gonna fake his own death.